So your team has finally finished building the robot and you want to make an epic robot reveal video. There's only one problem. You don't know how to plan, shoot, or edit an epic robot reveal video. So you find some music and a bunch of shots of the robot and you slap them together and call it a day. We can do better. So what makes an epic robot reveal video? After analyzing over 20 of the best robot reveal videos I could find on YouTube, I've identified 3 major components that really separate these videos from the boring ones. And for today, there's one major thing that we really want to focus on, and that is pre-planning before we ever pick up a camera or start doing any editing. Now, my team right now is actually planning our own robot reveal video out. So I'm going to be going through the exact same steps that I'm going to be walking through in this video for planning out our own team's video. And the very first step of this is finding the right music track. Now, music is critically important when it comes to an epic robot reveal video because that is what is going to set the emotion and the tone for the whole video. So if we want something epic and upbeat and hype, then we're going to want to find a song that complements that. Or if we're looking for more of a cinematic, dark or moody type of video where we're showing like the details and the grunge of the robot, maybe you want something along those lines. Obviously, this is where you get to really pick what you want for your video. But one of the main questions, of course, that you may be asking yourself is, should we be looking at using copyright-free music or any music that we can find, maybe even mainstream music that's on the radio? Now, this is sort of a bit of a hot debate, and for me personally, I tend to try to stay away from music that will get me a copyright strike or copyright warning on YouTube. I would much rather prefer to use copyright-free music. That way, I don't need to worry about my music potentially being muted and my entire video being muted, which would ultimately just kill my video on YouTube. Now, another thing that may come into play when it comes to deciding if you want to use copyright-free music or not is whether or not you care to monetize your video. Now, if you're probably like me and most other robotics teams that have YouTube channels, you're probably not worried about monetizing your robotics channel YouTube, so I wouldn't care so much about that side of the reason of why we should stick away from copyright music. My main reason is I don't want my music and video to be muted because of that. And also, I don't want to get 3 copyright strikes because after 3, YouTube will terminate your YouTube channel. So I don't want that to happen either, which is why I tend to stay away from copyright music. But this is completely up to you and your choice of video. The main thing for the song I'm looking for is I want to have 3 main parts. The first part, I tend to want to find a song that kind of starts off a little bit slow and like ramps up into the main energy part. Now, this may only be in the first 5 to 10 seconds. It shouldn't be overly long. But I do tend to find songs that kind of start off slow, maybe have some kind of riser where like the music kind of rises up or energy goes up, and then it hits the main chorus part. This I find is really nice because you can kind of start your video off a little bit slow, like showing the robot real quick with a title card. Again, not overly slow. We don't want to wait too long on YouTube, but that way it doesn't just like jump straight into the music and straight into the video. Now, that's me. If you want a song that just starts right away and you're just going to go right into it, that's totally your choice also. But for me, I like to have this kind of a little bit of like build up at the beginning. Then we get to the main energy of the song. And that, of course, I want to be upbeat and, high energy and is fun to listen to just on its own as a song. So that, again, is personal choice. Whether you want to go for like, rock or hip hop or pop or funk, your choice. The last part of the song that I really like to find in a song is that it has some kind of bridge or portion where like the energy sort of drops and fades away for just a second and then it comes back. And the reason I like this is because changing up like the pace of the music in your video can help keep viewer interest. If you have a song that's just high energy the whole time, viewers watching your video can kind of get like mentally tired where it's just like, okay, we start off strong, we start off high energy and it's like high energy, high energy, high energy, high energy the whole time. They may kind of be like, okay, like this is like, it's the same the whole time. Right. And if you have this song that like kind of builds up and then it has like high energy, but then it like hits a part where like the energy kind of drops and it sort of like becomes a little bit more calm for just a little bit, and then it like ramps back up to like the main song again before it finishes, that can just add in this like break in the video, like emotionally. And it can give you the permission to sort of change up the visuals of what's going on, because now we have like sort of a different emotion in our video for this portion of the song that's maybe like 10 to 15 seconds. Before that, the energy comes high again, and then we like finish off strong, right? So that's usually what I'm looking for in my music. Again, it's these three parts: build up, high energy, drops down to have like a little bit more of like a calmer tone, and then it comes back up to high energy, and then it ends. Now, the nice thing with picking out your song first is you can kind of mark, like by listening to your song, what different parts of the video could be happening during this portion of the song, right? So again, if it has a build up at the beginning, maybe it's just a quick intro, energy gets high, you know, it's fast moving clips of the robot driving around, shooting, picking things up. And then it like gets calm, and maybe during the calm part, we can show like the driver, like driving. Maybe we can show like slow motion clips, or, you know, like the students like fixing something while it's on the field, right? But you can kind of like pre-plan out just this part of the song. I kind of like imagine this thing happening, which then leads us into the next part of this, which is I would recommend that you make a shot list of shots you want to get before you go and start filming and picking up a camera. Now, I'm not sure about how your team does your filming, but for my team, we're being given 1 hour of dedicated time to film our robot reveal, which isn't a whole lot of time. So I want to really maximize that time as best as possible. And to do that, I'm going to create a shot list of all the different things that I want to get in that 1 hour of time. And I would recommend that you do the same. You probably want to list some of the major robot portions, right? So, you know, your intake, your shooter, your climber, your hopper, your drivetrain, etc., right? List out all the major components that you really want to show off. And then think of this rule of 3 when it comes to getting angles. You want to get a wide shot, a medium shot, and a tight shot of all these things. So a wide shot is the robot with like the background and things around it, and you kind of see everything. Medium shot is more punched in on the robot. Maybe the stuff around it you can't see as much, or you like don't really care that it's not really visible because the robot is the main focus. And then a tight shot, which is like a more detailed shot of something on the robot or close up, right? So if you keep these 3 angles in mind, then when you go to film, you just go down the list and go, okay, I need to get a shot, shots of the intake. Here's a wide shot of the robot picking things up. Here's a medium shot of the robot picking things up. Here's a tight shot of the robot picking things up. And then shooting, right? Wide, medium, tight. So if you do that, then when you go to edit, you'll have plenty of options of what to pick from. And I usually don't have like an exact visual in my eye or in my mind's eye of like what the video is going to look like this shot, then this shot, then this shot. But I have a rough idea. And if I get these clips, then I'll have plenty of options that I won't need to worry about having to go and reshoot something, or, you know, like I didn't get that. And God forbid I can't go and get it, because again, if you're only given so much time, you may not have the option to go and reshoot, in which case it's really important you get all the shots you need right there and then. The other thing that I've noticed in a lot of these videos that are really good is they use a lot of really unique camera angles in some cases. So, there's angles of POV of the robot. Like you have a camera on the robot and it's driving around and you're like, on the robot, seeing it picking things up or shooting things. Or they'll put a camera like inside the robot, so you can like see the fuel or the balls or the game object like inside as it picks it up. They'll put cameras like on the actual scoring apparatus. And so now you're like viewing down on the robot as like things are coming in and scoring, which is just an interesting angle. I've seen that some of them have drones. And so they'll have drones that are flying above the field or like alongside the field, getting like a tracking shot. Any amount of like unique visual angle that you can find is really helpful. Again, just for changing up the visuals in your video and making it interesting to the viewer. Now, to do some of these things, though, however, you are going to need some extra special cameras, I would say. One of which is probably an action cam. So, like a smaller GoPro of some kind that you can put on your robot. So as it's driving around, you can get POV footage, or you can put inside your robot. So that way, again, you can get footage of like things moving around inside. If you don't have an action cam, again, that's okay. You don't need to get these kind of angles, but they can be really helpful, especially if you want to make an epic video. Other things, again, is having a drone and getting like a shot top down, like looking straight down on the robot or flying over the field. Or I've seen some really cool shots where they'll have a tracking shot where like the robot's driving across the field and there's a drone like outside the field, like driving alongside. And so like the robot kind of stays in the center of the frame the whole time as like goes across, and it looks really cool. But again, you may not have access to a drone. And so if you don't have access to some of these like special cameras, just simply keeping the rule of 3 down when it comes to wide, medium, tight, you'll still have a bunch of cool shots, but think of any camera angles you can get that are just different or unique, and that will really elevate your robot reveal to be like more epic. Now we go to the editing room. And so when it comes to editing, there's some main things that I'm also seeing from some of these epic videos, and that is that we are using the music to enhance our video, okay? The music that you chose earlier, we don't want it to just be background wallpaper music where it's just a track that is there and all the video clips that we're using are just kind of there. And there's really no rhyme or reason or emotion or any reason why we're choosing to put this visual on screen at this time versus this one. That's really where we can change our edit and elevate it, okay? So use your music to your advantage. If it has a good beat to it, you can edit to the beat. So, you know, most songs have, if you ever took band or you're in choir, you know how to count music, right? There's like typically 4 beats per bar or whatever. You know, you can edit to the beat. So if it's like boom, 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 every time that beat hits, you change your visual, right? So that it kind of like has a rhythm to it. But likewise, also, you also can vary up your length of shots. So instead of just editing to the beat, you edit off the beat. So maybe there's some parts where you edit to the beat, then you hold a shot for maybe longer than normal, and then that beat goes by, and then you change the visual on the next beat, right? So editing to the beat is really nice. It just kind of gives like a rhythm for the viewer to like anticipate when the next visual is coming. Or you can just simply use the music again as like emotion to put the visuals on screen. So if your song has like, again, a high energy portion, maybe during that part is when the robot's driving around and it's shooting and it's a lot of like high energy action and you're changing the visuals relatively quickly. But then the music maybe like dies down and it becomes a little bit more calm for a second. Now you hold some of these shots longer, and so you're not changing the visuals so quickly. And the visuals that you're showing are like slow motion or things that are just like lower energy, right? So it complements the music. And then when it picks back up again, then you go back into the high energy stuff and things like that, right? So use your music to enhance your video, not just as a background music. Likewise, again, vary up the length of your visuals on screen. So, you know, if there's parts of the song where it's like boom, 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 and it has like a quick beat, do like, you know, shot, 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 and you change the visuals really quickly. Or if, you know, it's a little bit slower, then maybe you change the visuals every 2 seconds, but then vary up how long they're on screen for. So maybe it's 2 seconds and 2 seconds, and then I'm going to hold this one for 5 seconds. And then another 2 seconds, and then 2 seconds, and then the next one is longer, right? So there's kind of like, there's variability in your visuals that are on screen. So again, the viewer isn't getting bored because they're not able to anticipate when the visuals are going to change, which is going to like keep their attention longer. Lastly, when it comes to transitions, some of the videos I've seen have some interesting ways that they like transition from one shot to the next. You know, as a beginner editor, if you're someone who's learning how to edit more, you may overly use transitions, and this is where you have to be careful. You know, there's a lot of cool visual things you can do to like change shots up, but be careful getting too over the top or too gung-ho on like all of these different things, you know, crossfades and wipe transitions and dissolves and all that stuff. The coolest transitions that I've seen, to be honest, have been done in camera. So what that means basically is that when we're shooting the actual clips, we plan some camera movement on purpose so that in editing, when we put these clips together, the motion of the camera transitions between the two clips in a way that like you just can't do in the editing room. So here's like 2 of my favorite ones that are kind of really cool. And one of these was actually done in Orbit's video that just came out here like a day or 2 ago. And it was a wipe transition. So Basically, what you do is you take your camera and you like film something and like you go behind something and then you stop that clip. And then the next clip, you start behind something again that's like the same color of the previous thing. And then you come out from behind it to then show the robot. And so then if you take the first clip of you filming, going behind an object, you take the second clip of you being behind the object and coming out, and you put them together, you can kind of get this like seamless transition where it's like you're showing something, you go behind something quick, and you come out, and like now there's a new visual on screen. And so that just is pre-planning done when you film. There's no like special editing trick for that. You just have to plan it with your camera. Another one is like a whip pan, where you can take your camera and you can like film something and like whip your camera to the right, stop the clip, go to the next shot, start by whipping your camera from left to right, and then coming in and filming. So then when you take those two shots, the first one where you're whipping to like you film and then you whip to the right, then the second shot where you're whipping in and you put them together, that motion blur of the whip between the first one and the second one will blend in where the viewer won't even be able to tell that they're two different clips because it just transitions seamlessly into each other. Those are kind of cool, right? So if you can like think of ways that you can like transition from one shot to another in a cool way with your camera and not so much trying to do it in the editing room, that can also elevate your video. But like I said, be careful overly using these because they don't really serve a purpose other than just they're interesting looking sometimes. And if you go too overboard on them, then it can become distracting. And then viewers just like, this is too much and they don't want to watch it, right? Because it's tacky. So, all right. So after all of those things, you should have a pretty awesome developed video. And if you're watching this, our video is still in planning, but I'm going to utilize these same tips because I've seen these being utilized in all of these really epic videos I've seen online. But I have one fourth bonus tip here for you that I wasn't originally going to talk about, but I realized that after you've made this awesome video, it has to go somewhere and you want people to watch it, right? I mean, you don't want to spend all this time making an epic robot reveal video, just have nobody watch the video, right? Other than the people on your team. And so the fourth bonus tip I have here is think about the title and thumbnail of this video when you put it online. Now, I'm guessing it's going to go on YouTube. I could be wrong in that assumption, but I'm assuming most of you watching this are going to put this video on YouTube. In which case, what is the title of your video going to be called? And do you have a cool thumbnail? Because if it's not visually appealing, right? If you don't think about this stuff and you just like find some clip during the video and be like, I don't know, here's my thumbnail, and you put it up there, you might make the most epic robot reveal video ever, but no one's going to click on it and watch it because the thumbnail just doesn't look enticing and they're just going to skip on by. And then you're going to feel really sad. You spent all this time and hard work to make a video that nobody watched, right? So I would recommend that for your thumbnail, I've noticed that like the best thumbnails have some kind of cool hero shot of the robot. So it's basically like the robot set up in a certain place. Maybe there's cool LED lights behind it or, you know, like some cool lighting or whatever. And they take an awesome picture and then they use that as their thumbnail. Now, if you don't have LED lights and whatnot, that's fine, right? I mean, see if you can at least set up the robot in a nice, cool way. So it's you know, again, in a cool position, there's cool stuff behind it, and take a nice picture and use that as your thumbnail because that's at least visually enticing. And it's a nice hero shot that shows the whole robot off. It obviously is going to pique some interest because people will see it and go, oh, that's a cool looking robot. Like, wonder what this one does. And then they'll want to click your video. So, but you'll want to do that planning beforehand, like I said, rather than make your video and then think about it afterwards. All right. So with all that being said, you are going to have the most epic robot reveal video ever. I can't wait to see it. If you do make one and you post it online on YouTube, put it in the comments below because I'd love to see all the super sweet robot reveal videos that all of you are making. And by the time that this video probably is going out, our robot reveal video should be done or very close. So I'll have a link either probably up here somewhere or down in the description. If you don't see anything yet, that just means that we're not done with it yet, but hopefully by the time you're watching this, it will be out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained some value out of that. And I'd recommend that you go watch this video next because YouTube thinks you'll find some value in it.